yeah, and more things became available, then you
Yeah.
experimented, and you always tried to listen and learn, because there was really no handbook or no how-to on the subject.
No,
You know, it was just kind of passed down. Well, this worked from this guy,
Yeah.
and this worked from this guy, and you kind of tried to decipher what would work for you.
That's exactly how it works. I never took great amounts, but I got good results. And now today, this in my later years now, I do 1 shot of testosterone a week. My doctor told me, for me, because of the age I am, it will help me, because I don't
There's
produce
no
it.
doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, it definitely, increases because your body produces less and less, becomes less efficient
Exactly.
as you age.
Yes.
So it's only natural that counteracts it.
But that also, even at that point, it still doesn't give me the pump that I got back then. It's not doing the magic that it did back then.
No, that unfortunately I don't know the answer to. And I've talked to a lot of guys that have trained for many years, and they still have the same problem. They work out to get good workouts, but you don't get that all-splitting pump like you used to.
And how many times a week are you working each body part?
Once a week.
Oh, once a week.
Once a week.
That works for you.
Yeah.
I tried that.
I've had that training program for quite a while now. I mean, I've never trained more than a body part more than twice a week ever.
Well, twice a week seems to be about the thing, but back in the 60s, well, even in Ironman, you work out 3 days a week. Work everything 3 days a week was the thing back then. And that's when gyms were men one day, women the next.
Oh, I well remember that.
Yeah. So, and they didn't train together. So you had to do everything on one day, and then 2 days later you do everything again, or you split it up that way. And then you go to the split routine, of course, that we all knew.
Well, I think what happened as things progressed and you got so many different exercises, if you tried to do that and worked the whole body, you'd be in there 8 hours a day.
You can't do it. It's just too much. And even now, even on the twice a week, I just do everything twice a week. I have to split it up. I'm not going to spend hours on there doing the whole body.
Well, I always remember, of course, again, the only knowledge came from the magazines back in those days. I'm in Louisiana, which is real isolated from, say, the West Coast. Or at that time, bodybuilding was probably even bigger on the East Coast at the time, because Weider was back there in Union City, and so most of the guys were back there. But I remember reading an article one time about Arthur Harris, and he trained 8 hours a day, and I'm thinking, I was so disappointed when I read that. I told my dad, I said, how will I ever be able to get that good? I'll never be able to train 8 hours a day. Now, I don't know whether that was true or not, or if it was just put in the magazines to be sensational, But those guys are the guys that really excite, like Leroy Colbert. I greatly admired him. Another guy that I really admired was Marvin Eder.
Sure.
Marvin, I mean, it's a shame that you can't interview a guy like Marvin Eder. The stories that he must be able to tell would be fantastic.
Yeah.
You talk about how strong the guys are today, and some of them are really incredible, but nobody could equal his strength. And you talking to a guy who was training back in the early to mid 50s, about 190 pounds, could do 10 sets of 10 chins with 200 pounds strapped to his body, or doing one arm chins, 10 reps with each arm.
People don't do that today.
They can do it today.
Let's take a 30-second break for 1 second, and then we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Now, back in the days, as you said, with strength feats and powerlifting, we all did powerlifting. We all did heavy weights and squats, bench press, deadlifts, and all that. And it's not done today.
Well, the interesting thing, I got into powerlifting simply because you had to wait for either the powerlifting or the Olympic lifting to be over with for the physique contest, whatever gets started.
Right.
Back in the days of the AAU. So either it was your choice to either hang around there all day or do something. So I started powerlifting, and I really enjoyed the powerlifting. I was decent in the bench press and the squat, never very good on the deadlift. I just wasn't built right for the deadlift. But I enjoyed that. But it's not popular at all anymore.
Those are my roots too. I think my best bench was 455, which I was about 212. Always good at it. And then I ripped my tricep off this arm, and then this shoulder got bad, and now it's machines. But I find, and I don't know if you do the machines nowadays take over the free weights quite a bit. I get a good workout with them.
Well, the machines are good because the biomechanics have improved a great deal.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. and it's just easier for
Yeah.
people. Will always gravitate to thing that's less stressful. I still use a lot of free weights in my training. You know?
Yeah, and I do too. But sometimes you go in there, you just don't feel like loading the weight.
Right.
You just want to get in and push that pin and go. Which brings me to the magazine you brought.
Yeah, I was just going to say, since you brought that up, this is a new system that's just out. It's called a hybrid leverage. This will eventually and very soon take over the leverage market completely. Picture, if you will, a hammer machine where you have to load and unload Olympic plates. This eliminates all that. It's very easy. It's just a matter of flipping a switch. So even people with different levels of strength, whether it be a man or just an average housewife, can both train at the same time. They don't have to worry about taking the weights on and off.
Of course.
And another thing, too, it's a safety factor because 65% of all the accidents that happen in a gym are from people unloading and loading the plate, dropping the weight on your foot or something like that.
I broke 2 toes.
So I think this will be a real step forward. We've worked on this for about 2 years, and we're quite excited about it.
Now, this is the chest machine.
This is a chest machine. We have a full line, but this is a vertical bench press machine.
Right, and you have a full line for every body part.
Yeah, one for everybody, but we have a line of 12.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that idea. Now, is this for home use or
No, this is strictly for commercial use. This will be found in gyms.
That's wonderful.
You'll see probably Life Fitness or Techno Gym or Star Trek or some major company purchase our patents and manufacture the line, along their line of equipment.
Do you have any of that on your website?
No, I don't. But this is brand new. This is just out.
But if they want to see your website, it's boyerco.net, right?
That's correct, yeah.
And is that your only website right now?
That's it.
Okay,
yeah,
boyerco.net, and I'll flash it on here so you can remember it. So now you're living in Orange County.
That's correct.
You like it?
Very much so, yeah. Years ago, interesting thing, I ended up down there. Dan Howard, who was managing Gold's Gym, and an old friend of mine, knew him back from Oklahoma, invited me out. I came out to look at it because I was really considering moving out to California. And for some reason, I didn't like the congestion down in Venice and Santa Monica. So I said, man, this is just not for me. It's just too crowded. He says, well, I'm living in Huntington Beach. He says, why don't you drive down there? And he said, stay at my place for a couple of days. And I liked it. And I said, yeah, this is, I could kind of get used to that. And then Dan later on, shortly after that, opened up a gym.
He had a nice gym there.
Very, very nice gym. And that's when we were just getting Bodymasters started. We put a lot of Bodymasters equipment in.
Dan's very creative. He built some nice equipment.
Oh, he was. People were talking about him now. They're trying to find out who built the first 45-degree leg press. And I was trying to remember. It had to be Dan Howard. It was his machine,
He was funny because we did a couple of TV shows together. We worked on Flip Wilson as dancers. We wore little LeMay outfits, and we had to kick our legs.
That must have been something to see.
I got pictures of it. It's funny. And Sammy Davis Jr. was on there with us, and we all went to lunch with him. But Dan went back home to where he was from, and he liked California so much, and Arnold was laughing about it because he brought sand in on his front yard and put a palm tree out there and sit in the sun because he wanted to feel like he was at the beach.
Dan was a unique guy. I can tell you a funny story about Dan. When I won the Mr. America contest in '69, Dan was the guy that made my posing trunks. He was good at he would make saddles, and we were talking. I said, man, I'm trying to find this material, a LeMay type material.
Yeah.
I said, I really want a pair of posing trunks. He said, hell, he said, I bet I can make that. He went out and found the material and made me some posing trunks and shipped them. I mean,
that's what he was like.
That's when I won the Mr. America in those posing trunks.
Clint Eastwood came to him, and he built him a sit-up machine. Because Dan had, in the back of Gold's Gym, he had a little cubicle where he would weld stuff, not in just a tiny little area. So Clint Eastwood came in one day looking for him. He was gone, so he says, is there anywhere I can eat? And everybody sent him down to the German's restaurant in Venice. I don't know if you'd ever been there.
Never been there.
It was a little greasy spoon. So don't send Clint Eastwood down there. He'll hate it. Well, he went there and he liked it. And he came back and found Dan and put Dan in his movie called The Iger Sanction.
I remember that.
And he had a fight where he knocked Dan's tooth out. And Dan had a false tooth, so they just took it out, and you see his tooth was gone. That was really funny because he was into everything. What a great guy.
Well, he is. I talk to Dan occasionally. He lives out in Lake Elsinore. He's got a small ranch out there. Mm-hmm. He's still real big into horses and guns, and he was always an excellent gunsmith. He makes his own rifles and barrels and stuff. He was a real craftsman.
Very, very much so. So your plans now, you're not retired, obviously.
Oh, no.
You're probably busier than ever.
Well, I'm busy now. The last few years, once I got out away from Body Masters, I was working with my brother-in-law. He started a rather unique insurance agency, insuring classic and exotic cars, and based on their agreed value. Where a regular automobile insurance agency wouldn't be inclined to insure an old car for $400,000.
That's why I saw you at Bob's Car Show.
That's right. We were there doing
Exactly.
that, and I've been doing that. Unfortunately, my brother-in-law passed away, so I kept the business going. I've been doing that for the last few years, and now with Mark Nally, who's the actual inventor of this hybrid leverage, we've been working to bring that to market. So it's keeping
great.
me real busy.
And you're training what gym down there?
I train at a place called Club Metrex. It's a nice gym. It's off the beaten path. It's probably maybe 8,000 square feet, packed with equipment, and very few people train there. Originally, it was owned by Dr. Scott Conley, the guy that invented Metrex, and I don't think he was really interested in ever making any money with it. But it's a very well-equipped gym, and he doesn't own it anymore, but it's very well kept up, and it's close by hand, and you go there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there's more than never 5 or 6 people in the gym. That's the way I like to train.
And you get the job done.
Oh, yeah.
That's the old Bill Pearl style, 5 in the morning.
Oh, well, like I said, I talked to Bill last weekend, and he gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning and still trains. I guess he's in the gym by like 3:30. Look, 80 years old, he looks amazing.
Yes, he does. That was the old Weeder method. He used to say, he says, wake up at 2 in the morning and perform your workout and shock your muscles, perform a sneak attack on your body and shock them in the groin. It's a shock for me to go to the bathroom. Well, it's really great having you here. I'm thrilled to death that you made the trip out here to see me and do this, and I know the fans out there will love seeing what you're doing, and I'm going to flash pictures of your past because you had some awesome photos. Even though you don't think you were a champion, you were a champion to the whole world, and to me too.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, but like I said, it was simply just a way to try and make me more than what I was. I never professed to be more than just a student of bodybuilding, and I was always trying to learn. And if people ask me what was the greatest thing that you ever accomplished in bodybuilding, no, without a doubt, without hesitation, it would be the great people that I've met, learned to be friends with, and learned from. That's what it's really all about.
You're right.
I mean, you take guys like Bill Pearl and Red Laurel, who've basically always been my mentors my whole life. And it's wonderful to be around those guys. And like I said, I go all the way back learning from guys like Vic Tanny and all of those guys. And Arthur Jones. Yeah. Even though he was a crusty old guy, if you spent time with him and you listened to him, he was willing to teach you, and I picked up a lot of valuable information from those guys.
It's the journey. It's the journey.
That's without a doubt.
Well, thank you for watching Ric's Corner. I'm going to send you to Boyarco's website, boyarco.net. I'll flash pictures up, and stay tuned for more Ric's Corner because I'll bring you more exciting people just like Boyer. Bye.